In 1928, Walt Disney was on a train from New York back to California. He had just lost everything. A distribution company had stolen his most successful cartoon character. Legally, his entire animation studio was gone. His staff had been poached. His contracts were canceled. Walt Disney was 26 years old, broke, and had nothing left. So on that train ride, he picked up a pencil and started drawing. He drew a mouse. He named it Mortimer. His wife suggested Mickey instead. That mouse, born out of one of the worst moments of Walt Disney's life, became the most recognized cartoon character in human history. And this is the story of how Walt Disney failed over and over again and built the most magical empire on Earth anyway. Walt Disney was born in 1901 in Chicago. From childhood, he had one obsession: drawing. At 22, he started his first animation company in Kansas City, called Laugh-O-Gram Studio. He got contracts, hired staff, and started producing animated fairy tales. Then the distributor stopped paying. The money ran out. Laugh-O-Gram went bankrupt. Walt Disney was so broke he couldn't pay rent. He ate cold beans from a can. He later said there were days he didn't eat at all. He moved to Hollywood with $40 in his pocket and a cardboard suitcase. His uncle gave him a small loan. Walt and his brother Roy set up a new studio, the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio, in their uncle's garage. Walt created a new character, a rabbit named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. It became a hit. Theaters loved it. Audiences loved it. Walt went to New York to negotiate a better deal with his distributor, a man named Charles Mintz. Instead, Mintz told him the truth. Disney didn't own Oswald. The distribution company did, and they were taking the character, the contract, and almost every single one of Walt's animators, who Mintz had secretly hired away. Walt Disney walked out of that meeting with nothing. On that train back to California, Walt Disney did not cry. He did not give up. He drew. The mouse he sketched was originally called Mortimer, but his wife Lillian said it sounded too pompous. She suggested Mickey. Walt designed Mickey as the opposite of Oswald: round, friendly, expressive. Where Oswald was owned by someone else, Mickey would be owned entirely by Disney. But the first two Mickey Mouse cartoons were silent, and nobody wanted them. Sound was the future, and Walt knew it. He remortgaged everything to fund one more cartoon, Steamboat Willie, this time with synchronized sound. It premiered in New York on November 18, 1928. The audience went wild. They had never seen a cartoon character whistle, sing, and interact with sound in real time. Steamboat Willie was a sensation overnight. Mickey Mouse became a star. November 18, 1928 is still celebrated today as Mickey Mouse's official birthday. Success with Mickey gave Disney resources, but Walt always pushed further than those resources allowed. In 1934, he announced something that made Hollywood laugh out loud. He was going to make a feature-length animated film, something that had never been done before. The project was called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Hollywood called it Disney's Folly. They said audiences would never sit through a 90-minute cartoon. They said it was financial suicide. The budget kept growing from $250,000 to $1.5 million. Walt mortgaged his own house to keep the production going. His wife thought he had lost his mind. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs premiered on December 21, 1937. It made $8 million, becoming the highest-grossing sound film in history at that time. Walt received one full-sized Oscar and 7 miniature ones for the film. The audience gave him a standing ovation. Disney's Folly had become the most successful animated film ever made. After Snow White, Walt Disney never stopped betting on the impossible. Fantasia, Bambi, Cinderella. Each one a massive risk, each one changing animation forever. But Walt's biggest dream wasn't movies. It was a park. In the early 1950s, Walt Disney pitched the idea of an amusement park, unlike anything that existed. Clean, themed, immersive, a place where parents and children could experience stories together. Every single bank turned him down. Amusement parks were considered dirty, dangerous, low-class businesses. No serious investor would touch it. Walt sold his vacation home and borrowed against his life insurance to fund it himself. Disneyland opened on July 17, 1955. On opening day, it was a disaster. The asphalt was so fresh it melted in the California heat. Women's heels sank into the ground. Rides broke down. The park ran out of food and water. The press called it a catastrophe. 1 year later, Disneyland had welcomed 3.6 million visitors. It was the most popular tourist destination in America. Today, the Disney empire spans theme parks, movies, television, streaming, merchandise, and cruise lines. It is worth over $200 billion. It all started with a mouse drawn on a train by a man who had just lost everything. So what can you learn from Walt Disney? 1. The people who steal from you cannot steal your ability to create. Mints took Oswald. Walt created Mickey. Your creativity cannot be owned by anyone else. 2. Every expert said Walt was wrong about feature films, about theme parks, about synchronized sound. Every single time, Walt was right and the experts were wrong. The people who say it can't be done are usually the people who won't try. 3. Failure is just the training ground for the right idea. Laugh-O-Gram failed. Oswald was stolen. Snow White almost bankrupted him. Each failure built the skills and determination that created the next success. The man who was fired at 22 for lacking imagination built the most imaginative company on earth. Subscribe, because next week we're covering how Google started as a college project worth nothing and became worth $2 trillion in 25 years. See you Thursday.